Welcome back, card game players. This is Maelstrom Gaming. The Joy Boys just released a video on the Four Emperors format, and I'm really excited to go over it with you today. I want to teach you guys how to play. This is, once again, a fan-made format. It's not official by any means. If you don't want to play it because it's not official or that you don't like what it is, that's okay. But for those who want to learn about it and are excited for it and another way to play with your cards, let's dive in. So first off, it's fan-made. It's a fan-made format. That means that there won't be official tournaments for it. This is a casual format. Rules might change. It is still developing. It turns the One Piece card game into a multiplayer game. If you've played Magic the Gathering, it's the EDH or Commander experience. With that down, how do we actually play? It turns the game into a multiplayer format. You could, I've looked through the rules, I'm teaching it to you now, you could turn this into a 5, 6, 7 player game, but typically your number is going to be 4 players. For deck construction, you will have 60 card decks, you still have a leader, it's singleton, and regular deck building rules for colors still apply. You still have to be within the color restrictions. If I say anything in this video, or if I don't say anything in this video, then just assume that it is defaulted to regular rules of One Piece. For example, the color restrictions. Rainbow Luffy Leader is the only banned card right now, so this is the perfect time to get into the game. We're exploring, we're learning, and it is truly a blast. Now, since it is new, I will say check the ban list on the Discord for any updates to the ban list. You will see that later in the video. They added life so that the game lasts longer. Your leader starts the game with their regular life plus 2 life cards. So if you are a Zoro, you have the 5 life plus 2. So you'll be a 7 life leader. Prono would be a 6 life leader at the end. And Red Purple Luffy finally gets to live his dream of being a 5 life leader. Just in a different context. Now, what about starting Dawn? Starting with the first player, you get to pick an even or an odd curve. The odd curve gets to start the game with 1 Dawn, but they draw on their first turn. The even curve skips that draw in order to start the game on 2 Dawn. This way, it's able to distribute the advantage of going first in this format. So many players to deal with. So how do we actually change some of the cards to better deal with your opponents? Well, the rule here is that if a card refers to the opponent, it refers to each opponent. So 10 cost Big Mom. If your leader is Big Mom Pirates type, place 1 card from the top of your deck onto your life pile and then trash each of your opponent's top card of their life pile. This originally says just your opponent, but it is changed to say each opponent. So you gain 1 life, each opponent loses 1 life. 7-drop Big Mom says your opponent chooses one of the following effects. And now that means that each opponent would get to choose. It's not that each opponent decides on one and they all vote together and you only get 1 instance of it. If you play Charlotte Linlin 7-drop, each of your opponents will trigger this effect. Then you have Charlotte Pudding. Charlotte Pudding says on play your opponent returns all of their cards in their hand to their deck, shuffles it, then draws 5. Well, this now triggers with each opponent. So you have one opponent with 6 cards, another with 7, another with 9. They're all back to 5. And finally, Negative Hollow. Negative Hollow, you say trash 1 card from your opponent's hand or activate main effect on the trigger. This now says trash 1 card from each opponent's hand, and that one's particularly rough because they don't get to pick. It's random. Continuing off of that, there is a clarification. If a card needs an opponent to meet a requirement for it to activate, for example, Rayleigh, where your opponent needs 2 or more characters with base power of 5,000 or more, any opponent will do. For Rayleigh, 1 opponent needs to meet the requirement, but any opponent can do it. Now, Trafalgar Law has a little bit of a weird wording. because he checks each opponent to see if they have 7 or more cards in hand. Then he says trash 2 cards from your opponent's hand. He will check each opponent, but will only trash cards from the opponent's hands who meet the threshold. Now, end of turn effects have been modified slightly. We have some effects that say till the start of your next turn, but these cards, the card effects that last until the end of your opponent's turn, are all changed to last until the start of your turn. So Rayleigh's power minus now affects your opponent's characters until your next turn, until the start of your next turn. So that means that if you want to use the minus 3k, minus 2k to entice some of your opponents to team up and try to kill one scary threat on the board, you can do that. If you wanted to use teach in order to make it that one of your opponent's characters can't attack, or you negate that effect, for example, let's say 8-drop kid, tower kid, that you have to attack him, well, teach can negate that ability until the start of your next turn, and suddenly everyone can attack the player of the kid. I have put this slide onto here, the 4 Emperors rule sheet. It's just the basics, but if you wanted to screenshot this or save this, it has all of the rules we just went over, but just on one slide, so you can easily access it. And so I'll leave this here for a moment for you to take a picture if you want. Otherwise, I am going to move on. So, you're in. Where do you play? Well, you can, of course, convince your friends in person to play this, or you can go on the web. You can go on a webcam and play on Discord. They have an official Discord for this, and it is proxy friendly as of now. So I have created a Discord Forever link. Hopefully that stays up, and if it doesn't for whatever reason, let me know below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this how to play for the 4 Emperors format, and I will see you next time.